Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be looking at the Panther M10 because this is the tank, I believe, that's obtainable from the, what's it called again? The tank rewards missions for January 2020. So if you complete all these missions in the various vehicles that you're required to do them in, you get one of these tanks practically for free, which I think is a fairly cool thing. I'm not entirely sure how exactly it works. I don't know how many tokens you need, or over like how many weeks you have to play in order to beat it, but it doesn't seem like an impossible mission as far as I've seen there. Like, I might be a bit late to the party, but the thing is, with the way the missions are set up, it's fairly likely that you've actually beaten a few of them not even noticing. But the one thing I will say is that this tank isn't a bad vehicle. Like, it's really not a bad vehicle. It's just, there are stronger tanks at tier 7, but this thing does have a party piece which most other tier 7s don't have. In fact, there's only 2 others I can think of other than this thing that actually have this feature. It has preferential matchmaking, which is something that's exceptionally rare for tier 7 premiums. In fact, tier 7 premiums in general aren't exactly common, but this thing is one of the very, very few which actually has preferential matchmaking, which is very, very nice for the tank. It makes it a little bit more unique. But it does have some problems in the form of, well, its alpha damage is very, very low. Like, the 75mm L70 only does 135 damage a shot. It has a 3.3 second reload. It has, I think, a 2.2 second aiming time. And you really feel that, because whenever you're using something with vertical stabilizers as an example, you're able to fire off shots with some degree of confidence that the shot's going to go vaguely where you're aiming. The second you take off vertical stabilizers, you notice that, oh, my accuracy has just gone completely. That's just the way it is in the game, because vertical stabilizers and gun rammer are pretty much the most important pieces of equipment in this game, just because of how much impact they have on the way vehicles handle. Now, this is pretty much the worst matchmaking this tank can possibly come into, so I'm not going to be playing this thing very aggressively in this game. I'm going to try and play this thing a bit more passively and just try and get shots off and get a wee bit of damage off where I can. But if you were to ask me, like, if you're going to buy one of these things, I would definitely say getting a tank like that or a tank like that would be a lot better, because value for money wise, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck with those vehicles in comparison to this thing. Like, this thing as a tier 7 is not going to make as much money, and it's also going to be a bit more awkward when it comes to tiering. But when it comes to getting this thing for free, I don't really see any real big reason as to like why you wouldn't. I mean, of course, like, you're not going to do it if you don't have time, because, well, it makes sense. But if you do have time and you kind of like don't really have much else to do in the game, then it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility to actually go and get one of these things, because it doesn't seem that difficult. There's probably something I'm overlooking when it comes to the tank rewards thing, but it doesn't seem like it's impossible to get one of these things. It's probably the main thing I'm trying to get across with it. Up there's a comment in SU-100M1 that's been spotted over there, and my shot was a bit too slow. But this thing kind of like tank destroyers. Whenever you're aiming this thing's gun and firing it, you notice the gun bloom kind of messing with you, and also that's getting very irritating. I don't know who's playing the map, but I'm just going to block the most recent one because it's getting on my nerves. So unfortunately not much is really happening just yet, and the main reason, I should just say, like, the main reason why I didn't go over to the northern flank is because if I come up against an ISM, which is almost certainly on the northern flank because it's an ISM, where else is it going to go? I mean, you would have to be suicidal to go to the south on an ISM. A tank as awkward as that seems like one of the worst possible positions you could possibly put it in. So it's almost 100% on the north, so there's no real point in me going there, because there's absolutely nothing I can do to a tank like that. It just has too much armor for this thing to do anything to. And oh, I just noticed there's a Progito over there. Do I have any sort of visual on that guy? No, I don't. STG's over there as well. Can I get any shots at this guy? Unfortunately, I have no shots at these guys. I know I'm spotted, but I'm just looking for shots and I don't have any. And of course, the one shot I do have is a complete whiff. Let's try and kill this Udez before he manages to fall back. Nice. Okay, so that's the Udez dealt with. So one tier we helped to get rid of. But I'm actually going to move forward into this low ground here just because I kind of want to mix up my position a little bit. I've been sitting up in that bush for a little bit too long. I feel like it's kind of expected now for me to still be sitting in that bush. So repositioning a little bit just to see if I can catch people out seems like a fairly reasonable thing to do, especially if that Pageo first pushes that wreck far enough forward. But I will say it's interesting that guy's pushing forward. I don't think he's aware of how many tanks are over here. Otherwise, I don't think he would be pushing forward the way he is. Like, I highly doubt he would be pushing forward like this if he knew there were so many tanks waiting to just absolutely eradicate him, like what just happened. Like, I just got absolutely devastated there whenever he tried to move forward. And then M4 Rev, if I were him, I would be rushing forward to try and kill that Udez as quickly as possible because, well, it's tier 8. If you remove tier 8 from the game, especially if it's top tier, well, I see no reason why you wouldn't. But unfortunately, because this thing's low alpha damage, it's not able to kill tanks off very quickly whenever they're on like about 180 health. It does take about 3 seconds for you to actually, 3.5 seconds for you to kill them just because of the low alpha damage and you having to wait to reload in order to get another shot off. Which is a bit of a downside, as you can imagine, to the tank. It does make it a little bit more inconvenient to play. But then again, I can imagine this thing with like an 88mm gun would be ridiculous. Can you imagine if this tank had an 88mm gun with preferential matchmaking and a fairly quick Panther hull? Like, this thing would probably just absolutely annihilate everything that came across at tier 7. I think the STG was looking towards me, so I'm actually going to move down into the low ground here because it's an STG and I don't really want to take damage from that if I can possibly help it. In that position I was in, there was no way for me to avoid taking damage from that thing, so I'm just going to leave that position and get the hell out of there. Because I'm a tier 7, can't really afford to lose health unnecessarily. And yet there's the ISM. So the reason I don't want to fight that thing very much is because its armor is pretty much everywhere good enough to avoid me penning it. I mean, it's got 120mm of side armor. It's got, I think, 140, 160mm of front armor. So it's got pretty good armor on the front as well, so which makes it fairly survivable. Let's see, can I kill you? Yep. And then let's not worry about you. Let's go for you next. And let's see, this guy here, can I kill him? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Okay. I lucked out a lot with that. I got fairly lucky there with actually being able to survive that shot. But you can see there why I did not want to fight the ISM. Like, that was a pure broadside shot, and I still managed to bounce the shot because this thing just does not have the pen. Also, I am being incredibly, what's the best word? Persistent in my need to use standard rounds in a tank like this. In my mind, for some reason, I have it stuck as like a thing in my mind where I want to use standard rounds in tank destroyers, or not tank destroyers, in preferential matchmaking premiums if I can. It's always been a thing I've kind of wanted to do in preferential matchmaking vehicles, just avoid spamming gold when you don't need to. Especially considering you don't want to in a vehicle like this, because it is technically supposed to be a moneymaker. And that's unfortunate timing. Whoa, I actually survived. Jesus. Get greedy, go for shot. I got greedy, will I get punished? That was lucky. Okay. I looked out like hell there. And the Ferdinand came around the corner to distract the guy. Will I be able to get the kill? Aw, damn it, gun. It would have been nice to have got that kill, but unfortunately the gun just trolled me at the worst moment there. But this hasn't actually gone too bad for a tier 8 game. You might be looking at this damage total and thinking like, that's not a good game, dude. What are you talking about? But tier 8 game, preferential matchmaking premium, you do have to lower your expect. Will you sit still? But you do have to, you do have to lower your expectations when it comes to a preferential matchmaking premium in a bottom tier game, because it just does not have the penetration and just the firepower in general to really do much in a tier 8 game most of the time. Let me see, I'm fairly sure I heard the SCG fire, so let's go for some shots on this guy. And yep, there's the SCG dealt with as well. So I did just under my health pool in damage. Unless I got some blind shots off, which I don't think I did, but 1300 damage isn't too bad for a tier 7 with 150 pen in a tier 8 game. Especially considering you saw me get some shots off into that ISM while he was completely broadside onto me and I couldn't pen him. Now, part of that was probably down to my aiming, but at the same time, it does kind of showcase just how limited the penetration is.